season finale. That was quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end already, and it's your boy Icon with another Marvel animated TV review for you. And like I said, this was like the fastest season of all time, but we're here and let's go over little Marvel's What If. So now in this particular episode, before we begin, hit the notification bell, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, so you get notified when all my other videos pop up. And again, Happy New Year to everybody as we proceed. So now, again, in this particular episode, we saw that in the last one, Doctor Strange, he rolled up on Peggy and he was like, I need your help. And he also did the same thing to Kiara, but we didn't find out why he rolled up on her. But we'll find that out eventually. So while he was talking to Peggy, he basically told Peggy, he was like, listen, while you've been gone, he said that, since we're supposed to be the multiverse protectors or whatever, he said, I was in charge. He said, I took it upon myself because of his penance. Because remember, this is the Doctor Strange who actually destroyed like his world. And then, the Watcher brought him over to help him, join the team of people who helped save the multiverse. And then after he brought in that team, Doctor Strange was basically stuck. I think he was stuck with him throughout time and space, but he had his own place, and then he was doing his own thing. But what he told Peggy he was doing was he was going around the multiverse, and he was collecting world killers. People who are responsible for like destroying worlds. He captured them, he had them like in these crystal balls spread out all over the place. And he told Peggy, he was like, well, Peggy guessed, she was like, one of them escaped. And then he was just like, how did you know? She said, because when you collect this like this many beings, one of them's always bound to get away. And the person who he said was a world killer that got away was Kiara. He said that, I need you to go to this particular Earth. It was an Earth where Peggy and Captain America died, so then the Red Skull, the Nazis took over. So he was just like, I need you to go to that Earth, and I need you to collect this girl because she's a member, of the world killers, and she needs to be brought into justice. In the Kiora episode, they had her talking in her native language. In this particular episode, she was actually talking English, so that was good. So so Peggy goes in, and then as soon as Peggy went in, as soon as he told Peggy, he was just like, listen, he was like, I need you to bring her in. And I was just like, nah, like something smells rotten, Strange ain't right. Like I already knew Strange wasn't right, so Peggy goes in, she bumps into Kiara, the two of them get into a fight, and then as soon as she sees her, she's just like, oh, I bet you Doctor Strange told you I was a world killer, but she was just like, oh, he's a liar, and then that's when Doctor Strange brought them both back to his chamber, and then she was like, what's going on, Strange, and then he was just like, stay out of it, Peggy, and then Kiara had told Peggy that Doctor Strange's plan was not only was he collecting world killers, he was also collecting heroes who have great power. His whole thing is he's going to take all these people with all this power, and he's going to use everyone's collective power to throw them in the abyss and use the power from that abyss to resurrect his world. Like the whole thing is for him to resurrect his world, more specifically his ex-girlfriend. So, and then Peggy was just like, yo, you can't do that, Strange. And then he was just like, I must, Peggy. And then he was like, you of all people would understand. Wouldn't you want to bring back Steve Rogers? And then she was just like, yes, but not this way. And she's like, Steve wouldn't want me to do it this way. And then he's like, then I must kill you as well. So now he's trying to kill Peggy and he's trying to kill Kiora. But Peggy was just like, well, screw it. She said that in order for us to, to temporarily get Doctor Strange out of our house so we can come up with a plan, she used the shield to destroy all the captive bubbles that all the enemies were in. And she basically caused a prison break and freed every single world killer villain and hero that Strange had captive. So now there's a big ass fight scene with like everybody. When I say everybody, I mean like Hela was there, Oda was there, Thor was there, Iron Man was there, the Guardians were like everybody was there. So now there's this big ass fight that's happening. Meanwhile, Kiora and Peggy, they're trying to find out where this chasm is so they can shut it down. When they finally get to the chasm, Strange shows up, and then now they're fighting there. And then there was a moment where Peggy had bumped into Killmonger, the Killmonger from season 1 that had the Infinity jacket or like the Infinity suit on. They ended up getting the Infinity suit off of him. Peggy put the Infinity suit on, so now she's Captain Carter with the Infinity Stones. So she's got the Infinity Stones. Her and Kiara, they're fighting Doctor Strange. They're trying to take out Doctor Strange, and then while they're taking out Doctor Strange powered himself up so much to the point where he was just like, screw it. He opened portals in the floor to where all the world killers were, and then he just dropped everybody like into the chasm so he can steal their power. Kiora was trying to use her power to send everybody back to where they belong, and now there's like this whole back and forth thing, and then it got to a point where Peggy was trying to stop him. She was trying to use the Infinity Stones to stop him, but because she needed a little extra boost to take him down, in a surprising turn of events, all of the villains, like all the villains and everything, they banded together and they gave Peggy all of their weapons. Hela gave Peggy the crown. The guy who had the 10 rings, he gave them the rings. Everyone else gave them their weapons, gave them like Odin's staff, like some daggers and everything. So now Peggy's like super powered up. Like Kiore had the rings, but she was using the rings along with her power, but they're super powered up now. And now they're taking out Doctor Strange. They're fighting Doctor Strange. And because Peggy had the Infinity Stones, I thought she was going to use the Infinity Stones because there was a moment where Doctor Strange tried to play a trick on Peggy, where he brought Peggy back to where she was with Steve Rogers in like the first episode where she got the super soldier serum. And then Steve was like, Peggy, stay with me. I love you. And then she was like, no, this is a trick. She's like, I won't fall for it. I thought she was going to use the Infinity Stones to bring back Stephen Strange's girlfriend to distract him so they can whoop his ass. But apparently, in the midst of the fight, she didn't think to do that in the moment. It still turned out good because she ended up using her power to knock the evil that was out of Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange's like evil consumption was caused by this dragon ghost spirit being that was trying to get him, basically like getting in his, I think it was like basically it was like the dark book or something, like he got it and like the spirit of that book had like taken over his mind and just fueling on like his despair and his hatred. Peggy managed to knock the demon out of him, and then when she knocked the demon out of him, she was like, Strange, she's like, how do we close the chasm? And then he was like, you can't. He said, my hatred, it is too strong. He's like, there's no way to close it. And then the demon tried to take Strange over again, and then it grabbed Peggy and tried to throw both him and Peggy into the abyss. But Doctor Strange, he actually was able to fight the monster, and then because he was fighting the monster, he was holding the monster back. Peggy managed to get away, and Doctor Strange and the demon within both plummeted into the abyss, and they went into the chasm. The crazy shit about that is, because Doctor Strange needed the most powerful of powers to power that machine, the power from both him and the demon together was enough. And because he went into the abyss, it actually did cause this huge explosion, and it rebirthed Doctor Strange's world. But the problem is, because he sacrificed himself to bring the world back, he may have brought back his world, but now he's not going to be there to enjoy it. And then Peggy thought she was dead, but then the Watcher, he finally showed up, because earlier him and Peggy got into a conversation, and she was just like, are you going to help for a change, or just going to stand there and watch? And then he was like, it's my job to watch. But he took Peggy and Kiore out of the abyss before the whole room exploded, and then he was like, oh, I sent Kiore back to her universe, and now it's time for me, Peggy, to send you back to yours. But he did show her that Doctor Strange succeeded in saving his world and bringing his world back. They even showed his girlfriend sitting there on the bench. And then she was like, oh, it's such a shame because, he did all this sacrifice just for this girl and like he'll never see her again. And then he was just like, yes, but so is the damage of the multiverse. And then he was like, are you finally ready to go home, young Peggy Carter? And then she was like, I am. But she was like, but before I go home, she's like, can we take the long way? Because she's like, there's so much to see. He's like, yes. So now both Peggy and the Watcher are going to ponder the question on her way home of what if. And thank you for tuning in. So now, I do have to say this. It was definitely better than season 1. Season 2 was definitely better than season 1, because half of season 1 was trash. The other half was good. But out of this whole particular season, for season 2, the only bad episode, and even that wasn't bad, was the Christmas episode. Every other episode was really good. It was solid, and it had a lot of tie-ins that we saw like here in the finale. But if I'm being honest, the entire What If series, it's making me want to get a Peggy Carter, Captain Carter animated series. So can we get that? Can we get a Peggy? And kudos to the actors, because when the episode was over, I watched like the cast, like the cast list at the end. With the exception of Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff and obviously Tony Stark, every other Marvel actor pretty much voiced their own character. Like the Arrowverse did that all the time. Like when they had the Vixen animated series, all the characters from the Arrowverse that, like Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, etc., they all voiced their own characters in the Vixen anime. And then they did the same thing with Marvel as well, where all the actors got to voice their own characters. And kudos to them for doing that, because even Samuel L. Jackson, voiced his own character. So that was some cool ass shit. But share your question. It's like, do you want a Captain Carter series? Like, can we get a Captain Carter series? For the love of God, share your questions down below, and we'll continue to talk about it. So check out my previous 8 reviews for Marvel's What If Season 2. Check out my Archer in the Cold series finale, and my Aquaman, in the Lost Kingdom review. For Aquaman, as we say goodbye to DC until 2025, but hopefully we'll get some more DC animated content that we can continue to review. And as far as Marvel's concerned, I guess Daredevil's coming out, the Echo series is coming out, so I guess we'll do the Echo series when it comes out, as we roll on for some more superhero comic book goodness. So like I said, guys, so check me out on social media always, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concern. We're here for you in 2024 for some more Red Eyes Entertainment. Until next time, signing for the captain and for all the Avengers. We're out this